So this is a fireside chat, but it's a bit of a sum up of the day, the journey that we've had. We're going to be hearing not only from the man whose vision and leadership is responsible for all of us being here, but also somebody who's described as a technologist and a banker, of course, and certainly we know someone who is very passionate about fintech. Plus, we're also joined by a gentleman who brings some 30 years of retail banking experience, who's worked in many corners of the world and is now a leader, certainly a leader in the world of electronics payments to both banking and non-banking institutions. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for a warm welcome on stage. Sael Waary, of course, the Deputy Group CEO at Bank ABC and Chairman of the Arab Financial Services, and B. Chandra, CEO of AFS, of course, a leading provider of electronic payments. Sael, welcome to the stage. Chandra, thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, can I just start with this? We know about your passion, but I want to start with, hello Chandra, I want to start with one of the questions that we had, which was, I am positive about the future of fintech. 94% said yes. Why do you think 6%? And I'd love to hear why they don't think it's positive. Is there anybody who said they're not positive that would be prepared to say why? You're not, are you? Why do you think they're not positive?
Well, the 6%.
Yeah, I mean, it was only 6%, but still, you would think, with what we've heard.
I think if you look at the transformation and the disruption in financial services, the 6% is very insignificant. So I will focus on the 94%.
Sure, but I was just still surprised.
This is a major transformation, you know.
Yeah.
This is a great milestone. And you have seen how the digitization has affected financial services. So basically, I'm not surprised to see that result.
Okay.
Because the journey is taken off 3 years ago. It will continue.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
From everything
What we have seen.
Chandra, just briefly, what would some of your takeaways be from what we've heard from the wonderful speakers, everything we've heard today?
Yeah, I think it has been a great conference. It has probably brought together a complete ecosystem of players. And I think that's part of our role as AFS as well, that we want to bring together all the players in the ecosystem to create a customer experience which adds value at every bit of the transaction and the payment cycle. So what we have heard today, obviously financial inclusion is key. I think this is a topic which will probably open up opportunities for many fintech companies. We have heard about the entire SME challenge. How do banks, fintechs collaborate into lending to SMEs? That's another area which I see great growth coming in. But today what we have showcased outside is also key. We are already showing a glimpse into the future of banking. We are seeing how the mobile has transformed itself as the payment engine for almost every customer. And when we launched our own digital wallet in Bahrain, it's hardly 13 months. And we were quite skeptical at the start to say whether we'll get the volumes and whether people will use the technology. But what we see outside today is the digital payments are here to stay. Today you can remit money internationally, you can top up mobiles, you can talk to digital employees, you can talk to robots. So I think one of the things we need to think through is how do we address the challenge timely, effective, and at a good cost to banks, and that's where companies like AFS come in.
Is your drive for digital banking, is that for you, is that all about changing your customers' lives?
Yeah, we see obviously we work with plenty of banks and we see this digital transformation disrupting banks. And we want to play the role of being the enabler for these banks to embrace the future. Okay. And starting with Bank ABC, which is probably, will be launching its own digital bank. We are a partner to them. But then we want to take this solution to many other banks which are in the region and help them address the digital challenge.
Being the key driver behind this today, what are your goals for the forum?
You remember, I started with the 4 Eyes. And basically, it's all about imagination, Aaron. And the leaders of the future must have imagination. So today, my imagination is beyond that conference now. The conference is now done, and we have to think of the next year, the next conference now. So my vision, and basically looking at the fintechs, is a transformation journey. It's not an overnight. Awareness, education, behavior, and this is where we see fintech is embedded in our day-to-day life. And you're going to see banking become seamless. And I said this morning, looking at the invisible banking. Today, some banks in the United States and Australia, they're looking at more than invisible. What I mean by invisible, that banking is embedded in your day-to-day life. No longer we're talking about banks, we're talking about banking here. So that's how I see banking. I remember, and I did say last year that Bill Gates in 1996, he said, we need banking, we don't need banks. And this is what drives me here. That statement, it drives me.
A couple of takeaways then from today. Any highlights that just sort of?
I think that the highlight, I think we have seen the digitization agenda is here to stay. It's not like one-off, and I said that this morning. No longer you can talk about digital or IT once a year. It's a day-to-day embedded in your day-to-day business. So, and the IMF, the corridor talks, and I say digitize or die. And basically, it's just becoming an integral part of the strategy, integral part of your vision. And that's how I see the future.
So then in a nutshell,
in
a nutshell, to your fellow bankers out here, we've got the imagination, we've got the innovation. What are from you the tips for them to succeed?
Embrace technology, embrace digitization. That's my message to everyone.
Chandra, if you make one prediction over the next year, or you can have two, what would they be?
I think we'll see the retail customer getting more value if he goes digital. So going digital will add more value, both in terms of the customer experience, but also in terms of monetary value to the customer. We have not seen yet banks incentivizing customers to go digital because it's lower cost. So I see that as a clear trend. As customers go digital, they will enjoy more value. The second thing I think which I see very clearly is the disruption is not only in banking. In fact, I was looking at banking beyond disruption. No. Retail is getting disrupted. SMEs are getting disrupted. Corporates are getting disrupted. And the disruption is beyond one player in the system. So we have telcos, we have retailers. Everybody is grappling with how to address the digital challenge. And if the ecosystem collaborates, embraces technology, works with technology providers, you can actually create something of lasting value and increasing loyalty from your customers. So we are going to see that as something
to
Yes.
Just to add, we are on a journey, transformation journey, and I kept saying, we cannot afford to stop.
No.
Yeah, this is not about one strategic project, just do automation of certain function of the bank, do ILA or do other. This is an ongoing commitment.
Constantly evolving.
Daily.
Daily,
yeah. And that's basically the message I'm giving to everyone.
Okay, and just lastly, if I can just touch on this, because I'm just curious, as a banker, we hear about the dramatic changes to retail banking.
Yeah.
What about corporate banking?
I mean, I said it this morning. I feel the disruption of corporate banking is already here, around the corner. We have seen that our corporate clients start demanding. They need a similar customer journey as we have seen in the retail banking. So clients become more sophisticated, they digitize their own operation, and I see that the banks will seriously start looking about their own day-to-day back office straight-through processing journey for the corporate banking.
Indeed, indeed. Chandra, any last word before we wrap it up? Is there
I think we owe a big thanks to all the people who attended and also to all the regulators. Yeah. One of the things which I would like to touch upon is FinTech succeeds with everybody going and having a similar thought process. And even if you're an individual, you're going to get disrupted, but disruption can be positive. And that's what I think is the message. Embrace disruption, embrace technology, make your lives more digital, and enjoy the best of what technology brings you. And I would like
Sael,
to conclude on that.
Yes,
sure. Sael, you can have the last word.
Yes, I'd like to basically to thank His Excellency Rashid Mehraj, the Governor of Central Bank of Bahrain, his competent team, for his support. I'd like to thank the Governor of Central Bank of Libya, our Group Chairman, for his commitment and support and for being with us here. I'd like to thank the ABC Board. I'd like to thank Dr. Khalid Kawan, our Group Chief Executive. With his support and commitment, we will not be able to achieve that. I'd like to thank also AFS Board. I'd like to thank the team, the dedicated team. Dr. Susan is sitting there, the invisible lady who's sitting there, helping everything. I want to thank everybody who's participated in this conference. I want to thank also our partners, the whole team, the whole community who has been, and thank you for your trust, for you being with us today here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Sael and Chandra. Short and sweet, but thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.